if you're tired of all those fifth wheels that always give you the same floor plan, take a look at this one. It gives you just a smidge of that home style feel. Welcome everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV, down here at Keystone today, getting you some serious update footage here on the 320 Cougar. This is a interesting old meets new kind of floor plan where Cougar had long had a very successful kind of rear den, rear entertainment sort of floor plan, and they sort of forgot about it for a little bit, and then a couple years ago they came back out with this, and it fits right in between so many things because it gives you a lot of the features of those more 35-foot fifth wheels. It's slightly longer, but it gives you that separation of kitchen and living room while still having a very open, social, comfortable environment. Having more of a household style wraparound sofa that personally, I really, really like. And it still provides you the theater seat benefits. You still have the hide-a-bed function, but if you don't open everything up, you just have the ability to like just stretch out and lounge out and relax. That's actually what I think I love about this the most, with all the campsite window coverage and the way the seating is set up on this one. If you just want to get away from the daily hustle and bustle of your life, and you just want to get into something where you can let down and relax and just be isolated in your own private little space, that's where this one comes in. But at the same time, if you also still want to be social and have friends over, it's a very open, like party atmosphere kind of floor plan. It's really an interesting best of both worlds kind of situation here. Now, Cougars are 0 to 110 degree rated. They have this new high gloss fiberglass, which looks amazing with their paint packages. You have the ability to outfit this, I believe, with a third air conditioner, holding tank heat pads, upgraded suspension, brakes, tires, 3,000-pound towing hitch on the back, and just a laundry list of things. And speaking of laundry, stackable washer dryer prepped as well. This is a secret home run out there. If you're like, man, I want something where I can go away and spend a lot of time in it, but like you're not in that six figures kind of fifth wheel bracket, this right here, perfect little solution. Now, I've had a number of these Cougar videos out so far. Anytime a manufacturer makes change, it's met with a variety of responses, especially when it comes to decors. For a long time, Cougar had been rocking a variety of the farmhouse decor, a lot of white cabinetry, and a lot of people still like it. There's nothing wrong with it, but they've been doing it like normally every 2 years. Cougar changes the decor, so 5 years lasted a long time, and they just felt it was time for a change. I want to mention first and foremost, the camera, I don't think reads this decor very well. So I would definitely encourage you to check one out for yourself in person. But I've also talked to a lot of people who said, hey, I've had a Cougar since 2021 and I loved my white cabinets. But when I saw this, I realized I was ready for a change. And maybe that describes you. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But this is what they're running with right here. Now, before I get too far along, I'm standing in the kitchen. I like to give you like an actual camping point of view on this RV. And I want to move you over here because the window coverage over on the camp side of the RV is absolutely stellar. You notice that you do have a privacy shade built into this door right here. But, you know, if you leave that open for screen door action, if the weather allows, it's, man, the airflow and the visibility in this floor plan is great. Now, you do have kind of a big blank wall right here. There's part of me that feels like, man, it would be sort of cool if they added like an extra skylight window up there. But I don't know. I think I got enough window coverage, and that window would be hard to reach. So maybe that's just a nice blank panel where you could kind of do some decoration. Now, you shouldn't be hanging a lot of things on the laminated wall because they don't have any real backers in the wall to hold stuff there. But some of those little decorative stickers, like the live, laugh, love kind of stickers, just so darn cute, and it just makes me feel all nimbly bimbly or whatever. You get the idea. Like, you could do some stuff like that. But what I like back here, the entertainment on this floor plan is excellent. I think the reason rear entertainment, which used to be a dominant force in RVing, I think the reason that it died for a while is because it always required a 90-degree neck wrecker, looking thing. You don't have that here. Instead, like, by going with this kitchen and mega sofa, borderline mega slide, this is a huge slide over here, you've created not only the theater seat space, because these are theater recliners directly facing the sofa, but all this extra space where, like, maybe you stuff yourself over here in this corner and you stretch your legs out and you kind of lounge, or you could take a midday snooze. I mean, if it was just like a light drizzly day where it's not super hot, I'd open the windows, just listen to the rain. Oh, I'd be out in a heartbeat. I would be sleeping so hard in this thing. It's not even funny. But the windows over here, like, even though there's a massive concentration of windows on the camp side, there's really good window coverage over here. But I like how over here on the driver's side, where the windows feel less critical, they actually gave you that extra storage. Sure, it's above the sofa, kind of like you have cabinetry above the entertainment center over here. It's not going to be your everyday access stuff, but it's extra storage. And this RV has, in its base form, about 2,500 pounds of cargo capacity, give or take. It's around that neighborhood. I don't remember the specific, like 2,498 pounds or whatever. It's about 2,500 pounds. That's not terrible. Now, that's not wow, but I think that's acceptable. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think that's a 50-inch smart TV televator, and I'm going to actually point you right up toward the ceiling. We're going to get a look at that Furrion Chill Cube Air. You might notice the living room does not have a ducted air system. These air conditioners here are a little bit newer, a little bit different. They directly dump the air into your living cavity, and it's an 18,000 BTU air conditioner, and at its peak anyway. And that sounds like it's going to be super loud, and it sounds weird, but it also means that this is pure efficient because you don't have air conditioning ducting in the ceiling cavity of the RV that is getting nuked by the sun and causing your AC cold air to warm up before it even gets out to bathe you in it. The other thing is, this air conditioner, once it reaches its desired temp, sorry, bumped the camera. It doesn't just turn off. It goes into sort of like control and maintain the comfy temperature mode. And it itself is like a soft start air unit. You can actually run two of them on 30 amp service, which is kind of wild. You can't do that with traditional RV air conditioners. Now, your bedroom and your bathroom, they have their own standalone mini ducted air system. So 2 air standard with the option for a third air. You can add a second air here in the kitchen living area. Now, you might notice that's going to be a floor flush slide. Whenever you run into carpetless slides, there's the little potential that the corners like to curl up a little bit. People are like, well, they never used to do that. No, carpeted slides literally always did that, but because of the carpet, you couldn't tell. So this is not a new phenomenon by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I kind of showed you a quick sample of this earlier, but one of the things that I think is really cool over here is all the different functions that you can get out of this, what Keystone calls flex dinette. Obviously, we already saw it in the campsite dining bar overlook, or kind of like a desk. You can set it up more like a traditional 2-person dinette. You could make a let's sit around the card table and play some cards kind of booth like you're looking at right here. Obviously, that floating bench also has some storage in it. But if it is screaming hot outside, you can also blot the sun out. Or if you just want some evening privacy, like if you have your lights on inside the RV like I do right now, and it's the evening hours and someone's outside, they're going to see right into the RV. There's just no other way around it. But those blackout shades, well, I guess that is the way around it. So yeah, there is a way around it. I just didn't phrase that very well. Now, again, this sofa arrangement right here, what I love about it is that it only does everything. Because when you look at this camper at a glance, it looks like it has a couch, albeit a big couch, but it looks like it has a couch and a dinette. But it actually has a sofa and a theater seat and that multifunction flex dinette. So it's really doing a lot of and instead of or. What's now that I have these up, this is actually a really brilliant thing that they did. Another reason I think these kind of concepts failed in years past is that you had to half disassemble the sofa to close the slides. But you see that platform under the sofa? If you look below that, you can kind of see where there's the little roller runners under it. They did a brilliant thing here, and they mounted those runners on the floor instead of the bottom of the platform so that those runners aren't creating creases and lines and gouges in your floor, especially if there's like dirt or a stone in front of them, and the sofa just glides on top of it. And if you notice, that's part of the reason they didn't put a full-on super slide over here. That sofa will fit like Tetris blocks together right here in next to the dinette slide. And I'll show you this in road mode later. And it will make the you just push a button to open and close the slide, which is something these multi-function, like those wraparound sectional sofas historically, they just never offered you, which I think is great. Now, I mentioned third air prep. That's located up here. By default from the factory, you get this really nice rain sensing XL vent fan. You have to kill the fan to get the air conditioner. That's what that power junction box is there for. But if you want maximum cooling capacity, you can do that. We're going to start wrapping our way around here in the kitchen, giving you some high-level overview. The kitchen and the bathroom actually both have solid surface countertops where you see these power outlets. Cougar's generally pretty good about putting them in smart locations. The yellow ones are inverter prepped. So you could potentially run like, I don't know, coffee maker or something off battery power. That's a 16 cubic foot, 12 volt DC compressor fridge. It's mounted in the slide box because you kind of forget that the entire driver's side wall over here that we're looking at, that's all one giant mega slide, but it is rack and pinion. That's another thing that Cougar changed last year. They moved away from cable slides in their big fifth wheels, and now in the 2026 generation, no Cougar fifth wheels are running cable slides on their big, heavy main decks. They are basically pretty much rack and pinion slides all over. The small Cougar fifth wheels, or those like with just a closet slide, might have an exact slide system, but no more AccuSlide, no more of those around. We obviously have, when you have a wraparound kitchen, you end up with a lot of storage down here. But before I forget, I actually want to begin looking at the storage over here in the entertainment center, where there's hey, every ounce of storage counts. Let's not overlook anything. And take note of the little details, like the fact that all of those flip up overhead cabinet doors hold themselves open so that you don't have to juggle them. That's just a nice, handy convenience factor. It occurs to me, I talked about, but I never demonstrated the hide-a-bed on this. Because this sofa is extra long, it actually creates the opportunity for an extra wide hide-a-bed. Now, my editor will usually, when I make a statement like that, send me a message, go, hey, you said that this is a bigger sleeper sofa. Do you have the actual dimensions? And that's a very reasonable request. I love that he's always looking out for you guys like that. Thank you, Cousin Garrett. But I don't. The manufacturer doesn't provide those, and I don't have. I'm on the road. I don't have my tape measure and stuff with me today, so I apologize. If you need to know stuff like that, call our team. I try to give you a lot of information, and I try to head a lot of questions off at the pass in these videos, but I can't possibly answer every single thing somebody might ask me. So if there's a question that I can't or haven't answered for you on camera, call our local team. That's why they're there, to help fill in those extra blanks. And as we spin around here, their drawers, they're not dovetailed, but they seem to be nice and fairly solid. What I've noticed is they're finished very well. So like the cuts of those plywood drawers, they're all sanded off. They're not going to be an organic splinter factory or anything like that. And they just have generally a good feel and flow, like they were installed correctly. Because you can have the best components in the world, but if you don't install them right, it doesn't mean a hill of beans of difference. An interesting note, we'll see this again later when we look inside the linen cabinet in the bathroom. The top of that pantry literally is the bathroom linen cabinet. It's an interesting sort of pass through there. Now, I missed something earlier I want to point out real quick. These L-shaped countertops give you a lot of counter space, but they create weird spots underneath. So they turned it into something, I don't know, like a shoe shelf. I could see that being like a tiny dog dish kind of state. Oh, hello. I also just discovered we've got a set of power outlets back there. That could make this a really nice appliance center. Speaking of which, that central partition, not only is it helping define the kitchen from the living space, but it's also creating a perfect space to run wiring so that you have power outlets for the kitchen counter or for charging stuff up on the sofa. And as dumb as this sounds, I've really come to appreciate cup holders in the armrest of a sofa now that I'm a cat owner. In my house, I never used to worry about that. If I had a coffee table or an end table, that was fine. But cats are jerks, and they live to torment you, and you love them for it. And I don't even understand that masochistic relationship. But I got tired of my cat knocking stuff down. There would be times after a long day of working, I would try to lay down on my couch with something to drink in front of me, and the cat would inevitably want to take an interest in it. I think mostly it's his way of asking for attention, because cats they need more stimulation than people think. They're not a purely hands-off kind of creature. We're going to take a look in that built-in medicine cabinet while I'm talking about my cat for 5 minutes for some reason. But the medicine cabinet actually is built inside the wall effectively, and that pushes that mirror back. So if you want to, bend over to spit out your toothpaste or wash your face or whatever, you actually have a spot to do that. Now, as long as we're looking down here, again, we're going to engrage, our Superman X-ray vision. Take a look inside there. Nice little spot for wastebasket in the bathroom. Appreciate it. Triple drawer space down to the floors. That works. I think overall, successful kind of sink area. Porcelain foot flush stool over here next to the sliding privacy door. And you can see that it's fairly fluffy friendly. We got that towel bar above us. But again, I like to go out of my way to showcase the positive qualities and the things that maybe folks won't find positive. It does have a floor vent right next to the toilet. And some people are afraid that when they're, that sounds like I'm gaslighting people. Some people dislike the idea that if they are playing the Game of Thrones and they encounter some Peter sprinklage, that it goes down the vent. That could happen. So let's be real about that. This is that little space I was talking about. That actually is the top of the pantry. I don't know what benefit that provides, but I don't know. I don't know that it's a problem either. Now, a couple things over here in the shower. If you notice on the left-hand side, plenty of headroom in there. Like, I'm a little over 6 foot tall in this footage, and even with my shoes on, not a problem. But it has both the skylight and an actual waterproofed kind of 12-volt light, so you can see what you're doing at night, and an upgraded shower head. This is an Oxygenics. Of course, the glass is in the way, so there you go. Upgraded shower head right from the factory. So it's not, you don't have to get on Amazon and buy a new shower head just because the one for most factories kind of sucks. That shelf over there, great spot for like body washes and stuff, because the corner shelves next to the shower are about worthless. But that could also be a nice little spot if you got to sling your leg up, shave your ankles, whatever the case might be. I haven't talked about this yet, but your dining slide, your main living room, and your bedroom all have dimmable lighting, which is cool. And remember, you've got your standard dual air system. Now, this air conditioner only services the bedroom and bathroom. It's a mini ducted system. Really, if we're going to give a lot of credit there, Alliance was one of the first to kind of popularize that concept. Brinkley and Ember sort of adopted it with the Chill Cube air system, and, it's kind of evolved and moved on from there. Now, this thing over here, let me get you straight into the bed, because the headboard, they dressed up, I think, very nicely. I kind of like that. It just aesthetically looks pleasing to me. It looks like a fancy bougie tic-tac-toe board. Some power outlets, household and USB on the left. If you look over here, you've got these stands, these little, phone stands basically above the bed. You also have some power outlets set right into there as well. I don't want to call that a CPAP shelf. I don't think it necessarily really is. But what we're also looking at here is the optional king bed. By default would be a 60 by 80 queen. I believe it also includes side stands when you get the queen bed from the factory. The king bed cannibalizes those to become a 70 by 80 RV king. The bed base, though, does remain true queen size, 60 by 80. So if you are shopping for a Cougar and a dealer has one in stock with a king bed, you're like, I wanted a queen bed. You could put a queen bed back in it. You just might have to come up with your own side stand solution if you care. And as dumb as it sounds, just a simple laundry basket. Just the little things making the difference to me that I look for, Over here, this space, Cougar redesigned their front end. And it's funny how many RVs call themselves mid-profile still. The word mid-profile in the RV industry, I talk with my hands as you see in the mirror. The word mid-profile has changed its meaning over the last few years. Mid-profile used to refer to the height of the RV. Well, this RV is as tall as any full-profile fifth wheel. It's stackable washer-dryer prep that require them to change the profile of the RV. But mid-profile has essentially started to mean not the six figures full-on mega luxury fifth wheel, but still kind of including a lot of really nice smart features. That's what we're looking at right here. Now, you've got two little, two big drawers right down there. That gets the job done pretty well. We are, of course, set up for a TV across from the bed. They just don't organically include one from the factory. In terms of road mode, the general room access is about as good as you could hope for any triple slide RV. What I don't know is Cougar's stance on occupying their rack and pinion bed slide while it's closed. That's one of those things our local folks can try to get some clarity on. Next time I see their product manager, I will try to ask him, and we'll get an answer from there. The thing is, the layout of this one, although it's super, super park friendly, it actually has some really nice travel function as well. Because it's not a door side super slide, it leaves this big chunk of space open right here, where if you need to load some totes up for travel or something, it gives you room to put some of that stuff. The other thing I thought about is you got a little bit of an island overhang here, not a ton, but in a pinch at a travel stop, I could kind of use this as a little bit of a dining bar if I had to. You can still get to the sink, I think, reasonably, and in a rare find, you can access both the fridge and the freezer with the slide closed. Unfortunately, there's a major defect with this fridge, and you can see the reflection of it looking back at us right there. Now take another look at the weights and the measures here. The kind of message that I began the video with when we first started our adventure here was that this gives you a lot of the kind of features and feels of like the 40 to 42 foot fifth wheel segment, but something that's just a little bit over the 35 footers. Like I think it's between 37 and 38 feet. It's a really tricky, but like good tricky, like Run DMC tricky. So if this speech is your recital and you think it's very vital to rock a rhyme that's right on time, Cougar's got the solution for you. I know that I broke away from the traditional lyrics there at the end, but you get the idea. The thing is, it does have a campsite slide, which is usually, it tends to mean something slightly less park friendly. But because it's a dinette only slide, way at the back of the RV, the middle of the RV is left wide open, where you have these big awning spaces. And with the entry door in the middle of the awning, that means that even on a rainy day, you're going to enjoy some really nice coverage here. Now you can tell, like if you see the glossy reflectivity from the lights on the other RVs over here, it's because Cougar has upgraded their fiberglass. If I get you right up here beside it, they have upgraded from a traditional Phylon to a high gloss. Like we're actually seeing some of the lights from that bullet over there. And I mean, you can see that it has a near mirror-like finish. If you apply one of the optional paint packages, it will look so much better now than it did before. And to give you a quick visual sample, here's a look, first of all, at the base version, and then we move over to the Hero edition with that matte green paint. Now from there, you have two midnight editions, the Phantom Gray and the Black Onyx, Onyx Black, something like that. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but black, basically. Now, the midnight edition is kind of a full package where you have two color choices. The Hero Edition is its own standalone kind of package. And I think Cougar might actually have like a Stars and Stripes version where it literally looks like the RV is an American flag rolling down the road. I'm sure that'll be real popular in Canada. But that being said, it looks awesome. It looks like Hulk Hogan's RV, like he's gonna roll up and be like, "You ready for some freedom, brother?" With his real American beer that Hulk Hogan has and he runs around with. These are 16-ply H-rated radial tires. You have anti-lock brakes with electronic anti-sway for better emergency handling in those "oh shoot Martha" kind of braking scenarios. You also have that Road Armor Equiflex suspension package, which takes a lot. Well, first of all, it doesn't just dampen bumpiness on the road, it works to actively prevent and mitigate it. Now, you've also got that new Kurt Helix pin box system up front. I'm going to work my way up there for you. It's a long walk out to give you a full side view of this. But this spring-loaded, actual shock pin box system right here takes a massive amount of kinetic violence out of the towing experience. So basically that means both you and the vehicle, your teeth won't be rattling, but on the same token, every nut, bolt, widget, whiz bang fastener, and the chassis structure of this RV will similarly not be stressed as hard going down the road. Now, last year, I think Cougar made a big change on their big fifth wheels. They were running things like Schwintek slides, a lot of cable slide systems, AccuSlide. You can see that's all gone. This is a fully rack and pinion slide system equipped RV, even up in the bed slide. That's actually a very classic thing. It's heavier, it's more expensive, but basically statistically more reliable. And if you talk to existing RV consumers who have different slide systems, they will generally say, yeah, if I had my choice, I'd go rack and pinion. Cougar made the work. They put in the work to basically completely re-engineer every single one of their fifth wheels now, both Big Cat and Little Cat Cougar, to include that feature. I think that was very, very cool. I left some of the baggage doors open, first of all, just so you could see where the propane's located. But there are some brands that will sneakily put in 20-pound propane tanks instead of 30s. And it's not that they don't have any benefits. It's just that on a fifth wheel, bigger feels better, I think. The larger propane capacity feels correct, and that's what they've worked to accomplish here. Because of the bed slides location, they couldn't go with the traditional flip-up compartment door. I like how they split this, though. For me, it just makes it a lot easier to get into and access. Now, a lot of fifth wheels have the enclosed docking station. The new battleground on your higher class fifth wheels seems to be enhancing the plumbing and doing things like this, including like a water manifold kind of cutoff system where you can open or close and or shut off individual hot or cold water lines to any individual water fixture on this camper, which I think is kind of cool. Now down below here, we have a singular sewer outlet, which is very, very handy for a number of reasons. So this floor plan, you don't have to, unlike a rear kitchen, like I love rear kitchens for destination use, but I could use this at destinations pretty comfortably as well. And notice how your gate valves, they're all enclosed up in the underbelly. Now your underbelly is forced air heated. It does have radiant barrier layering that runs across the belly, up the nose, and across the roof of the RV to help with efficiencies. The RV also has not just a heat dump heating the belly, but a heat duct blowing directly into each individual holding tank, all of which are equipped with their own thermostatic holding tank heat pads. And with the new enhanced air system on here, Cougar was already 0 to 110 degrees rated, tested, proven. They've achieved that more easily. They might be capable of more, but that's all Keystone has really tested them to. So I can't make a fancy pants promise for you that Keystone themselves have not made. Anytime a dealer, somebody trying to sell an RV, tries to make you a promise the manufacturer themselves have not made, it's because they're saying what they think you want to hear, hoping that that will make you buy the RV. And I have suspicions on this RV's capability, but I can't make you a promise more than what Keystone has. How could anybody? But man, people do it every single day. You know what I mean? The window coverage again on this, though, fantastic, and they open for just plentiful airflow. Now, when it comes to like your solar stuff, I want to give you a very brief Cliff Notes version of this. By default, this RV has 220 watts of solar, 30 amp MPPT Victron charge controller. If you don't know what that means, good hardware. That's a reasonable battery tender package. It's prepped for a 2,000 watt inverter. The next step up doubles your solar to 440 watts, includes the 2,000 watt inverter. The step above that goes to 660 watts, goes to a 3,000 watt pure sine inverter, and also includes some lithium battery action. Long story short, there's a lot more equipment that goes into those solar packages than what I mentioned, but for the surface level, like checking boxes thing, that might give you the like, okay, how much does this one have, or what is it capable of being built? Or interestingly, this is what's funny, you can actually build a Cougar with a higher solar package than a Montana High Country, which is supposed to be its big sister, which is something I was just like, huh. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to drop you a couple links in the video description. The first one will get you to our website where you can check pricing and availability on one of these. The second, well, more than the second, I will dig up a few other maybe Cougars or some other similar things with kind of similar sort of features and or concepts and let you decide which one works best for you. And if you appreciate what we're doing, tap that little subscribe button. Maybe we'll see you again. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.